there, welcome back guys. In this video we're going to be building an LED roulette game. That's right, you see the colors spinning there, red, blue, yellow, green, and white. You decide where the colors are going to stop. Well, you kind of have to guess where the colors are going to stop. As you can see, it stopped on red, and I can activate it by tilting it, see, or I can activate it by the touch of a button. A fun little game. You can play with your friends at a party, or you can play with yourself when you're alone at home. Anyway, you decide. Without any further ado, let's get started. Let's build this LED roulette game so that you too can have fun with your friends and loved ones. All right, so first we want to lay all the pieces out according to how they're going to be soldered. It saves time and makes room for continuity, so everything just flows and you're not going crazy looking for the parts, if that makes any sense. All right. So moving forward, we're just going to lay everything out. We have our board here, which everything goes to. We have our little schematic / visuals, which work great because if you don't know how to read a schematic, you can just follow along with the picture. But remember to put the parts in their correct order and placement, if that makes any sense. Okay, just going to bend that a little bit. All right, so then we have that. We have this battery connector, which will go on last. Be careful when opening it and make sure you don't want to lose any pieces. We'll just move that fidget out of the way. Move this out of the, move anything plastic out of the way. Not sure what that is, but a piece of plastic, anything that can accidentally get hit with the soldering iron. And then you just dump everything on. You can't go wrong, but be careful because sometimes pieces do go flying. Double check your bag, right? And we got that. And this thing, I don't know, save it, throw it out, toss it, do what you like with it. We're going to use the PINECIL soldering iron. It's a great soldering iron. It's battery operated. It can run off power, such as I will show you in a second. You can attach it this way if you have the correct USB cord to it. So for example, if it was long enough, you get a longer cord. You can power it that way. See, it just turned on. Or you can use a, what I will do is disconnect this for now. Hopefully there'll be enough power, right? Since it's charging, let's just take it from the camera. And we will use this one. We'll let the soldering iron warm up. By default, the pencil will go to sleep. And when it goes to sleep, the temperature will drop. So I'll leave a link to this soldering iron in the description in case any of you guys are interested in it. As you can see, it's a little bit tricky with this particular cord because it doesn't, it's just, there's no stand, as you can see. So you want to make sure it lays flat, okay? And of course, like I was saying, anything plastic out of the way because it's going to be a little tricky to put the soldering iron back in its original spot. Okay, all right. So, just because it's going to be moving back and forth, and there's no designated spot for it. All right, so we have that. We have this little thing. This little works as a switch, which will turn it on. So I believe is this the 470? Yes. You're going to need a pair of goggles, magnifying glasses. The chip you solder in last, but we can solder it in the connector thingy first, okay? But remember, we're going to lay everything out accordingly. That will go there because you don't want the heat traveling through the chip as you're soldering because the heat just travels everywhere. All right, we have the resistor here. Again, I'm going to get my glasses, magnifying glasses, so that I can see, because you're going to need to see what resistor you have and are using, and we'll follow the pattern here. Just move this out of the way, bend that because it's actually bent the other way, but that's from the packaging. So we're going to follow the schematic here and go white, red, blue, green, yellow. Okay, so we're going to lay out the LEDs accordingly. So we have white, right? Red, if we can get it. Also have a pair of tweezers handy, right? red, I'll just move that out of the way, blue, right, red, blue, green, and yellow, okay? And everything is set to 1 o'clock, okay? So you have white, red, blue, green, yellow, okay? Yellow is 5 o'clock, and then white starts again at 6 o'clock. And I was like, wait, we're missing one. Sometimes you do get parts that are missing, but in this case, we have everything. And then white is 6 o'clock, and then it goes white, red, blue, green, and yellow. We're just laying them out accordingly. This is the chip holder, and this is the chip right here. Be careful with the chips because you only get one take with them. So if you put it in wrong, be careful pulling it back out again, okay? Because you can damage it, and if you damage it, you'll have to order another kit. That's why we're practicing on this kit, because it's really cheap, and then you can level up and go on the flight controller or the transistor radio, whichever you choose. And then there's the actual button. Okay, the button can go on the side. The button's right there, and here's the transistor, which is right there. See, a lot of these parts are kind of bent, which is fine, but we're just going to lay them out accordingly because we're going to solder them in. Let me see what this one is. Yellow, purple, black, orange. So we look in the picture, right, for the yellow, purple, black, orange. So these two are together, but in the middle, right, I just took off the piece of paper. So it's, which way is it? We're going to solder them the way they go in, okay, if that makes any sense. So at 1 o'clock, so yellow's on the outside. So we're going to flip these over. So the yellow is that way because that's how they're going to get soldered. So we have yellow, black, red, orange. And in the middle, below that is the brown, red, black something. Okay. Brown, red. It might be this one right here. Brown. Nope, there's no. Wait, brown? Is it brown? Hold on. Brown. Yeah, it's a brown, black, black, red. Brown, black, black, purple. So that's definitely not that one. So it's this one. Brown, black, black, red. And that's going to be laid out the way it's going to get soldered in. Brown, red, black, black. Brown, red, black, black. So I'm going to lay this one out the way it goes. So it goes brown, just follow the sequence. And then, of course, this one probably goes in first. Brown, black, black, purple. We have brown, black, black, purple. So that's going to be the resistor that's at the top. So everything is laid out accordingly, okay? And then we have another capacitor, which is a smaller one. And then we have another capacitor here, which is a little bit bigger. Can move that to the side. And then we have another capacitor here, which is a little bit smaller. This one is the 16 volt 47 UF. Okay, but we'll look for them and we'll solder them as needed. All right, so what we're going to do first is start in the middle because it's easier, and then work our way around. So we're going to solder this thing, the chip. This is the part that holds the chip. You might need a tweezer. You may not need a tweezer, but we're going to, hopefully it'll just fit right in. And if it doesn't fit right in, we will just make it work. So what we do is there. But before we begin, we want to add some flux, right, to the board. And the flux will just help with the soldering. So I have this. I'll leave a link to this in the description. And this will just create a better experience so that your solder just melts the way it's supposed to. So we're just going to put this on in all the other joints. And to make sure it's going on, you can just do it on a different surface. As you can see, it creates a little bit of wetness. See? And then you want that same experience to be here. So I'm just going to, everywhere that I'm going to solder is where I'm going to apply the flux pen. And as you can see, it looks a little dry. Let's see, no, it's not dry. It's in here. Just gotta make it, the pen does dry out, but you have to just reactivate it. And as you can see, it's reactivated. Everything is slipping on. You can hold it down if you need be, if that helps. Or maybe you got a new pen, right? I mean, even better. So you don't have to, do what I'm doing. And as you can see, it's wet, which is great. And it's going to just help melt the solder so that you don't have to reapply it to the board again, or hold your soldering iron. Because if you hold it, this board is not as durable, it's really fragile. And if you hold your soldering iron on this board long enough, the connectors, everything starts to break and become unraveled. So you really want to make sure that you get this in there. It looks like I got it. I covered all the holes. All right. Don't won't be needing this anymore. Remember to cover it. As you can see, it dries out pretty fast, even though there is a cover. But you can see if I can get another tip for that, because it's filled with, I believe it's filled with flux. Okay. So knowing that and moving forward, we're going to just put this thing in. Okay. And this part's a little bit tricky. Again, you might need a tweezers. As you can see, I may need a tweezers, which is fine because I have one. Because the sometimes the connectors just don't go in, so I'm going to have to use my light. And even if you have it straight, looks like it's not. Yeah, it's not going to go in, which is all right. That's what one side went in, right? And then you do the same thing with the other side. Just be careful not to rub any of the flux off. If you do, that's okay. You can apply more. All right, as you can see, that's why I'm holding it in this strange way. And voila, I got it in. Now, you could use painter's tape, but in this case, it looks like it's holding pretty well. So I think I don't need painter's tape, hopefully not. If you're not sure, just apply it. So that you just apply it there so that it just sticks, because you don't want this thing coming apart. So there you go. There is that. And now we're just going to get our solder. I have my solder here. Whoops. My solder here. I'll just do that. Just spool it along. And of course, the pen may have fallen asleep. And if it did, see, it says low DC. Which means that I have to wait for it to wake up again in order to start soldering, if that makes any sense, because you can't solder in low power. So just to wake it up, you could just do that, and then do that, and the settings are, the settings will just, as you can see, it's DC power, it's auto set to auto cutoff volt, but we're not going to do that. But you see how it works? Kind of neat. See? When it wakes up, low DC. It could be low DC because there isn't enough power. So what I can do is I can turn the power on because the power source is just too low. And if that one doesn't work, I might have to use this one. It could be that it's just too low, not just need more power. So it could be the power source that it's actually feeding to or from. So if that's the case, if you don't have enough power, what I have to do is run this one instead. As you can see, except I have to watch out for the wires. Just gonna pull that around. Watch your connections, watch everything. There go Wally's eyes. And I believe this should do the trick. And it's a good thing it tells you that there's not enough power, because then you just know to add more power. See, now it's going up. So we got enough power going. I'll just take Wally's eyes and put them back on the radio. Voila. All right, so now I have to wait for it to heat up. And as you can see, always make sure your tip is tinned. In this case, my tip is tinned, as you can see. And this also helps with soldering too. I always tin my tips after each project. That's why in some of my videos, you'll see me just go straight to soldering. But the tip is always tinned, and that the right burning temperature for this solder is about 6 something. You'll see in a second what that temperature is. You could just double check that. In the meantime, it looks like it's good to go. 5 something. I think it should start melting right about now. Let's see. Yeah, you got one. I think I got quite a few joints to solder. I'm going to do the end to end this way. I've seen some of those videos where they just solder really quickly, but you know, I'm fair at soldering, but not, you know, to the point where I could just solder this in one take. But I can still solder it. And you know, you'll get there. You just don't want to bridge your joints. And do not, I repeat, leave the soldering iron connected or like on the board for too long, because you'll burn out the connections and then everything will just disconnect, and you won't be able to use this kit or any kit. Well, some kits, because I can tell you that the game that you see in front of you, the retro game, actually the boards there, you get more than one take on there. If you make a mistake while soldering, you can reconnect. You can unsolder things. You could use the solder work. On this board, no, it's just a cheaper board that the experience is sort of like a one-time thing. You could add more flux to it, but it's not going to do justice. And then we use this thing over here, which is the cleaner. I'll just leave a link to this in the description. But it's like a little tin that comes with the soldering kit, right? And whoops, dropped some stuff, but I'll get it later. It's glued to the bottom of there, but you clean your tip with it like that. See, and it just sort of retins it, but gets all the gook out. So that's one connector for the chip that was done. See, it's a nice little soldering job there. And then what you want to do is the other part, the other one for the other chip holder. Remember, sometimes, and you know, sometimes you just have to put stuff down and make sure anything out of the way that can actually burn, because remember the soldering iron is hot. And I don't have a stand for that, but it holds pretty well flat. See, everything's good there. So now I'm going to put this one on. This is the other chip connector. And so just do like we did before with the other one. With this, it doesn't matter how it goes in, but it does matter how you put the chip in. Remember that, okay? Because this one can be put in any way, but you have to make sure that the chip goes in the way it's supposed to. All right? So knowing that, moving forward, that one's laying flat and it's even, which is great. And here's our temperature. The soldering iron didn't fall asleep yet. It's at 698. That's here for this temperature. I think that's what I set it to. I'll leave a link to this in the description down below. This is really cool. Oh, I was like, wait, there's no... And remember, don't let the soldering iron sit on the board for too long, because otherwise the connectors will just disconnect and it'll break up its connectors, if that makes any sense. And you'll get the soldering technique. It'll come to you. As long as you don't bridge your connections, you're fine. You know, the rest of the technique / skill will come over time. And again, don't bridge your connections. And then every time you do that, there's like a little remnants left on. And then you just clean that again. And voila. See? And this is the only part I hate, because I have to put it down. And it's tricky because I don't have a stand. All right. Keep the solder out of the way. See? And now we got that. And just double check. Make sure you got everything. Voila. See? And don't put the chip on yet, because you don't want the heat traveling. Because sometimes when you're holding the solder, you can feel the heat resonate through the solder, except it doesn't melt it to where your fingers are, but you can just feel the heat, and the heat will just travel through the connections, and you just don't want that. Okay, now we're going to do the button. The button goes right there in the middle. button, there's only one way to put it on. Like, you know, there's no wrong, it only goes in one direction, but it's not like there's a positive or negative side. You just you put it in and just let it do its thing. But it just works like a switch, like a button. So again, you might need tweezers, as you can see. It's just not going in. And then I got one side in, and you want them all to go in at the same time. See? Voila. You may have to finagle it out again so that it just goes in. So you might have to use the tweezers to lift it up again. Actually, to lift all sides up, right? So that it just goes in evenly and pushes down. Man, it's a little tricky, but manageable. See? Voila. Again, this part's pretty good because it doesn't need any tape, right? So you can just solder. Sometimes you might need tape, and if you do, just use painter's tape. We'll see what happens as we move along. Hopefully we don't need painter's tape, but you're using painter's tape on the other side. All right? Well, the pencil fell asleep. That took a little too long. But again, once the pencil soldering iron wakes up, things start melting the way they're supposed to. And it looks like it's going out pretty good. Yep, that's it. Again, if you hold the soldering iron for too long on there, it'll start burning the connections, and then you just lose it. See, everything's pretty nice and clean. Well done. And that's also with the help of the flux that we put on there. See, we're on our way. Hardest part will be putting the resistors and transistors in. All right, so we got that. Again, we're going to work our way out and then work our way in. So now we have our these things right here, the resistors. Sorry, yeah, these resistors. I just want to make sure this is correct. Yep. So now we're just going to do the first one, which is at 8 o'clock, right? So we're going to turn that over. See, that goes like that. And we're just following the diagram to like just the way they have it laid out in the picture. But you just may have to bend these a little bit, right? And then I'm going to push this in. There's a 470. There's actually a color code to these things. There's a chart that you can follow if you're not sure about how to read these. Because luckily for us, we just have the pictures to follow, but sometimes you don't, and you have to know how to read the code. See, look at that. We got one in. Now this is where we'll probably need some painter's tape, because I could see this falling out a little bit, which is fine. We have painter's tape as we lay it in. And yeah, you just want your pieces to be flat and flush against the board. So for this, see, just a piece of blue tape. I'll leave a link to this in the description down below. And you just push it in. And when you push it down, then you just let the tape sit on it. And now we can solder it and not have to worry about it dropping the opposite direction. Okay? Check your solder iron. See, it went to sleep. Temperature dropped. It's at 5 something. But it moves back up to the correct temperature pretty fast. And then what we do here is we do the same thing we did with the other joints, and this one's a little bit tricky but totally manageable and doable. See, might require a little more solder just to get it in the hole. See, we got it. And then you do the same thing with the other one. I have these alligator clips too. You could use that if you're not really good at soldering and you know, holding the board thingy together. But there, see, you got it. So that's one, okay? And then we have 3 more resistors, okay? So we can take the tape off. The tape is recyclable. See that? See, we got it. And then we just lay the other ones accordingly. See how things moved? So you want to make sure that before you solder them, that they just go in the correct way according to the diagram. And we have yellow, purple, black, orange. So make sure that it's yellow, purple, black, orange, yellow, purple, black, orange, and then brown, red, black, black. And then we have brown, red, black, black. So the configuration of how we're going to put them in still stayed the same. Okay, so knowing that and moving forward, we're just gonna put these in, and we're gonna put these in, right? And then solder them. We're gonna put these in, use the painter's tape to hold them, and then just solder them and then clip them with wire cutters. You also need wire cutters for this, unfortunately, but I'll leave a link to that in the description. And there's no special fancy wire cutters. Anything that will work. Anything that'll cut, that'll be sharp, and will do the trick. Okay? If that makes any sense. And then the one in the middle is different. You could always bend them like that. See? And bend them. Make sure you're putting it in the correct way. I'm going to double check. Yep. Just to follow the diagram. Just to keep continuity, because when you put it in the capacitor, that requires being a certain way too, or the transistor, that has to be a certain way too. See, we're almost done. We got that right here, and then we got here, and we're gonna just follow the 47K. And it'd be nice if these were labeled though. That would be really cool. But we're following the diagram in the picture. See, everything is flush. Okay. And then we're just gonna put the painter's tape right there to hold it in, so it doesn't, when we put it like that, it doesn't, fall back out again. All right, so knowing that and moving forward, we already did one, right? And then we're just gonna move that in. We're just gonna do that, and do this side first, okay? I might have to look into a stand for this thing. I can't believe all the things, the gadgets I got. I never really got a stand for this. Because I thought it would come with one. Soldering iron, temperature dropped, which is great. It goes to sleep, so you can trust putting it down for a bit without it accidentally touching something and burning the table. You have like a little bit of time. See? Voila. And then we'll just get the other side, which is actually that part. So you could actually, now that you got one part, if you have good eyes, that's great. For me, I don't. So I have these magnifying glasses with a light LED on it, which works great. Watch your fingers. You will get pricked and you will get poked accidentally. And hopefully not burned. But see, that's one. And then we have two. And the last one, which is next to the other resistor. Voila. See? And every now and again, when you see the little remnants build up on here, you just do that. And it just comes right off. And again, if your soldering iron doesn't work, that means you don't have enough power connected to it. Okay? See? Just put it there. And now I think I'm going to clip these so I have more room to work with. I'll leave a link to these wire cutters in the description down below. And be careful with this because they will go flying. All right? You just snip them gently, but sometimes you could never be, oh wow, looks like that one could use a little more solder. And you don't realize that until you, start cutting away. These are magnetized, which is great, but it looks like one of the solder joints is just, I can see right through the hole, and you don't want that. You don't want to be able to see through anything. So again, that's why the magnifying, see, we got it. Nice. Use the magnifying, and these are magnetic, and you also probably want magnetic cutters, wire cutters. See? Voila. And then we got a few more parts left. We're not there yet, but we're getting there. So we have a capacitor. Remember, we're starting from the middle and then just working our way around. Whoops. And look at that. See? Voila. So for this, we find the small capacitor, which is right here. The no-name one. There's this one, there's no left, there's no positive or negative, but I like to, when I have these little ones, I like to just have the numbers face out. This one's a 10, 103, I believe. 103, yep. And so that one will just go into the hole. And a little bit tricky. Just push it in. And so sometimes for these, what you want to do is just bend them a little like that, so it doesn't fall out when you put them upside down. The only problem with these is that, oops, it's a little bit tricky to get them to lay flat. But this one, that's how you do that. You just spread it like it's doing a split. And then for here, you just do the same thing there. So you apply a little solder. Sometimes you might have to turn it just so it gets that right joint. And that worked out really well. Just when you're, and then that one we can clip there. See, we can just clip it. Sometimes if you clip it gently, you don't have to worry about the pieces just going flying across the room. It's when you do it really hard that your pieces will just go flying. All right, so we got the capacitor. All right, so now we have the transistor. This has to go in exactly the way, in the shape of the form, the way they show you on the board. So let's say, look, see the transistor, the curve with the curve. So you can't put it in that way. You put it, just follow the moon shape, moon to moon. It's going to be an eclipse soon, actually. See? And then that goes in. So remember, moon to moon, because this board is not like that board. This board, you can desolder stuff. This one, you can, but it's luck. And you only get one take on this one because the connectors are just not the best the way it's put together, but it works. And let's see what we have here. See? Voila. Okay, so now that we got that, we're just going to add a little more solder. See? And you just figure out which direction's right for you. But for me, this particular direction works well. Looks like the board didn't fall asleep too much. Not the board, the soldering iron. See? Got it. Can clean off some stuff. See? Voila. Just like that, gently. I'm just going to snip it. And we got, oh, that one's going to go flying. See? I guess they're, yep. Voila. Look at that. See? Almost there. Pretty cool. Now we've got, let's do the switch. This is a little switch thing, because remember, though, you can activate it via switch or you can use the button, which is really cool. This one, again, the same thing. You could use the tweezers to bend it, or you could, well, maybe the tweezers, because it's the inside. I don't want that. And this one, there's, just put them in according to the way the letters are laid out. See? So we have here, right? And then we have here SW, right? 200D. SW, just put it according to the text, XW 200D. And then we're just going to fill that into the hole. See? Voila. This one doesn't need any tape, which is great. Everything is just, sometimes you don't need the tape, and sometimes you do. You'll decide, because you'll know when the pieces start sliding out. And then double check. Nope, it didn't slide out, which means I'm good. Because if it did, I would just have to put the painter's tape. That's all. See, that's one. And sometimes you don't get lucky, but I got lucky. All right, see, you just touch it. You touch it, and the solder just melts right there. Right, you know, just bleeds in, and you want that. And what helps it bleed right in is the flux pen. And a little bit too close for comfort there. And you know, I'm just gonna cut this part right here. Wow, I could feel the heat though. That soldering iron applied a lot of heat in that particular area. I have a magnet handy, because you know, sometimes pieces go on the floor. If you got kids, someone can accidentally get poked, because these are sharp. The remnants of your cuttings of your soldering job. We're going to do 47 UF. So we check the number here. That's a 40. I believe this one was 47. That's a 10. Maybe that one was 47. Yeah, I need to look with my... Yep, this one's a 47. Now with this one, the negative, see the minus goes with the minus, okay? So the minus on here is the short side. That's the minus, all right? Negative, okay? And then we'll just push it right through. And the long side is the positive side. And voila, this one I like to be flush. And look at that, it's flush without having to move anything or tape it. And sometimes you get lucky that way. If not, then you just use the painter's tape. Again, you could reuse it if you're running low. You know, the painter's tape just re-sticks on the surface really well. Here, got 1, 2. That one wasn't so bad. See? And then we'll just maybe put another capacitor in. With that one, we're going to put in the 10 UF 50, okay? Volts is the capacitor, so we got 10 UFs. Remember, negative to negative and positive to positive, okay? The negative is the short side, and it tells you which side is positive, so you can't put the minus on the positive side, okay? Don't do that, because you'll ruin it. And it's nice, this one went right in. I like that. So this one's not going to fall right out. I won't need any tape. Again, depending on how the boards are built, sometimes you will need some painter's tape. But as you can see, in my case, I didn't. But everyone's different. Just have it handy. I did maybe once, but that's not so bad. And as you can see, the LEDs are just flying everywhere, which is fine. Just remember we're going to put all the LEDs in, and then I think we are, and then the battery connector. All right, so we have here on the clock, we have white, red, blue, green, yellow, okay? So we'll find the white. We have white, and then the short part is the negative part, okay? So the short part goes, and that minus part goes with the minus. So we have white, right? Just push them in. They should go in. Wow, white, see they pop right in. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Red, right? Minus is the short side. Okay, red. Be careful not to poke yourself pressing red, right? Blue. This is number 3. Remember, minus is the short side, goes on the line. Blue. Wow, be careful not to break them, because sometimes they just don't go in blue. That's not blue. Ay. See? And you only get one take with soldering them. So if I had soldered that in, that would have been it. It would have been like, it would still work, but it just wouldn't create the experience that you want. And again, remember, these are hard to come out via soldering. White, red, blue, green, right? Green. Let's push them in. And yellow. And then the sequence starts over again, okay? Yellow is right here. And voila, that one was a little loose. I think I'm probably going to have to use tape on these so that it holds. And then again, we have white, red, blue, green, yellow, okay? 6 o'clock is white. And remember, the short part is the negative. And if your light LED doesn't work, it's going to be a pain to take it out, okay? Not that it can't be done, but you might damage the board. White, red, see that? Minus is short. Remember, minus goes on within the stripe. Red. And, oops, be careful not to poke yourself. Blue. Nice, we're almost done. Blue. Don't poke yourself. Blue. Green. Where's green? Remember, short part with the negative stripe. Green. And last but least is yellow. Okay. And And it's really cool. You just follow along. And that's why you want to lay the pieces out according to how the soldering experience is supposed to be. See? Voila. White, red, blue, green, yellow, white, red, blue, green, yellow. And then 1 o'clock starts again. Except for here, we're going to use, let's see. Or no, maybe not. The LEDs, look, are so high up. That's why we started in the middle, that the LEDs is holding it up, right? So now we can just apply pressure and turn, and we should be all right. Except for here, again, remember, it goes to sleep. It's at 3 something, which is great. So it's not always hot, and it doesn't burn out your tip, okay? And now we have 2 times 12, right? So we have 24 soldering connections to make, okay? And there's no rhyme or reason for which way you start, as long as you solder them in and don't bridge the connections or burn them out, because if you burn out the board, then it's still fixable, but you'll just have to wire it from connector to connector, if that makes any sense. So we got 1, right? And that's 3. And if you're holding it in for too long, it just means that you might need more flux. Flux will help. And you know, this is so we can level up and build another drone. And just work on your soldering skills and other projects too, you know? Because we're going to be building a transistor radio, a little bot thingy, a clock, and it's cheaper to work on projects like this, right? Because, for example, this board is only like $7, right? Whereas your flight controller, it's about $50. So if you can do what we're doing here on 1 take, you know, or a few takes, or whatever, you know, however, you know, work at your own pace, then you're fine. Because when you go to solder on that GPS on the flight controller, and if you mess up, you're not gonna be happy spending another you're not going to be happy spending another $50. I think you'll be happier spending $7 rather than, you know. And then you just do it again. You just, you know. Remember, don't hold. Oh, 1 fell out. See? That's why you have to be really careful. We only have 1, 2, 3. 3 more to go. And then we'll just have to do, well, there'll be a total of 48 altogether because it's 24, right? But we still have to clip them. So even though after they're soldered, we have to go around again. But that's okay. You know, we'll get there. And if you see remnants, if you see your solder is not doing too well, just run it through, you know, the cleaner. See, almost there. I think that one could use a little bit more. See, you just do it so that it goes in, and this one could use a little bit more, it looks like. Voila. All looks good from here. And then you won't know how good is good until you clip them like I did before. You notice that, hey, that one needed a little bit more, which is fine. You know, and again, this is a tricky part, putting your soldering iron down. At least for me, maybe you have a different setup. Maybe you even have this soldering iron. Please do share, you know, how you get it to work when you know, don't have a stand for it. See, now we're just going to clip these. These are going to go flying. Sometimes they just go flying, you know, or you can hold them over like that, put a finger over it, and then that must have been a resistor or a capacitor, because it didn't you know, go flying. Nice. So we have that. I'm just double checking everything. Yep. So now we're just going to clip away. See? Again, just clip away. And there's no rhyme or reason for clipping away. Just as long as you clip away and then you notice it needs more solder, apply more, but not too much. Remember, don't go heavy on the heat because this board will damage and you lose everything. Not really, but you know, you will jerry-rig it. You notice how some snip really nicely and some just go flying. And it looks like we are almost done. This one I might do a little more solder. Because I don't like, that looks all right. And again, you could always, if you don't have enough time, you go back to it. You know, this is not, when soldering, it's not like it has to be done the same day. No, you can do a little now and a little bit later. You know, as for this, I might put a little more solder here and there. 2 more joints that need a little bit more solder. And then we're, oops, I was like, wait, it's stuck. This one looks like it needs to be clean. Again, if your solder says low power, it just means you need to connect it to a different power source, okay? See? Got one, and I think I said there was another one. And sometimes, oh, there, that one. And you just double check. You just go through them again. See? Got that one. That one. And I believe that's, oh, no, and definitely that one. Voila. It's nice that some of them bubble over. You could do that, but I don't know. Oh, and definitely this one. You'll know which ones need more solder because you can somehow see through a little bit to the other side. Like it didn't just go all the way through. All right, so that's it. Now we just have the battery connector, right? And which is very easy to connect. To solder in, I think I'm going to do it from the top. Look at that. Not just the battery connector, also the chips, but we'll leave the chips after. We finish our soldering so that the heat doesn't resonate through everything. All right, so for this, plus this is really straightforward. Plus is plus, negative is negative. In this case, as for how they will go on, let me see. We could twist them, right? We could do that, right? It doesn't really matter. I mean, twist them in a sense because the way they're going to get soldered in, because the negative is on that side. See that? And then we can just do that like that. And then take the soldering iron, the soldering pencil, and then we just let the soldering, let everything just work its magic. And then, see, it fell right in. Nice. And then to do the other side, sometimes you can hold the soldering iron in your hand, but in this case, it's not working out that way. And we have to, because I want it to be like that, see? So it's flat. So, knowing that and moving forward, we can, see, that one will go in. And this way, if I want to have it laying flat, it can lay flat. And then now, see, everything's just working. And then pick up your pencil. It may or may not have fallen asleep, see? Depending on how fast you are. But remember, it's not a race. I just got lucky. And if it falls asleep, you just wait. And then it just wakes up again, you know? And voila. And now we'll just clean off the tip. And this is what I always like to do at the end of my soldering projects. I know I'm done. So I can just tin the tip and just get it ready. Just basically cake the solder on, see that? And then do that, and voila. I have a nice little tip, except maybe might need another brass thingy, because you can see it didn't really do a good job. I did a fair job. I'll probably I have a whole bunch of these in the garage, so I might have to just put a new one in, but it's good for now. So then what I do is you just plug that out. See, voila. Put this in a safe place, because remember it's still hot, so it can burn something. And you can move, let's say, we could put that there, right? And now we can turn this over. See, I had twisted it so that it could somehow stay straight. You could use whatever, tape. But look, now it should work if we put batteries in. So now I have to go find 2 batteries, which should not be a problem. And I'll show you how it works. Hopefully it works. And I'm not going to edit this video, so you'll see everything in real time. So right now you hear me talking, and I'm looking for a battery, and I found 2, which is great. Energizers, which are rechargeable. I'm a big fan of rechargeable because it gets expensive whenever batteries die and you need a new one. And you know, it's better to just pay that and then just recharge them. And I've had these batteries for years now. Of course, the recharging experience is sometimes short-lived. Oh, wow, that's weird. Oh, I guess the batteries have to squeeze in there. It's like one battery holds the other. And now, if all goes well according to plan, we should have this working. Oh, it's like, wait, it doesn't work. The chips. Okay, so with the program, let's take the battery out so we don't short it, right? We don't want to run too much power through when it's too soon. I was like, oh no, because I said I wasn't going to edit the video, but now it looks like I'm going to have to cut. All right, so the chip goes in with the words, right? The follow the text, okay? And for this one, I believe it goes this way. And so we're just going to flip it over. So the word's down, right? And you follow the diagram too, if in case you're, see, the words are just facing downwards towards the button. And then this part, oh wow. So before you do that, sometimes some of the connectors might be a little bit bent from shipping, which is fine. Just watch your fingers. There we go. Because you will get poked if you take this out, which is fine. It can be taken out again, but be careful because you can damage it too. And also you can hurt yourself in the process. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to take the chip, bend it in a little bit, bend it in a little bit, bend it in a little bit, bend it in a little bit. That one's in, and looks like that one's in too. Looks like you'll know because you should be able to just know if all of them are in, but you want to make sure that you bend them in so that they go flush, and bend them in so that that's why you need these magnifying glasses, because you don't want to ruin the connecting experience. And that's it. This one went in. See? I don't have a chip remover tool. If you do, let me know what you would use. I would use this. Might work, but tweezers could work, but it could damage it. But I'm not sure what you use. I'll probably Google it. And this one, CD4017, so that just face the words so that they go accordingly. And again, if you're not sure, look at the diagram or just look at the picture, and you can see that the chip is going in the way of the words. Okay, follow the words, follow the text. And again, with this one, same thing. Make sure they're lined up on one side, and then make sure they're lined up again on the other side. And you just may have to use the tweezers to push them in a little, not a lot, just a little bit. Remember, this is going to get you ready for the flight controller. This is going to get you ready for the transistor radio. This is going to get you ready for just brushing up on your soldering skills and just having fun, you know, having fun with building stuff. Maybe you want to do the retro game, right? I would definitely start with this first before doing the retro game, because remember, this is only $7. Even though the retro game is only, I think it's $20, but you know, if you're just getting back into soldering, start small and then go big. See, now I'm making sure all the connections are flush on the inside, not on the outside, right? And then you should be able to press right in, and voila. And now, if all goes according to plan, we should see some light. So, got nervous there a second ago. I was like, oh no, because if it doesn't turn on, that means that one of the soldering connections are wrong, which means that one of the parts are in backwards or not correct. And voila, there we go. So now to activate it, right? So we're at 1 o'clock. You can either tilt it or press the button. So it's at yellow. I bet you $5 is going to start on the red. Stop on the red, sorry. I'm just guessing. This is a game. Oh, pay me. You owe me $5. That was just a lucky guess. All right. I bet you $10 is going to stop at the yellow. Nope. So I owe you $10. So I'm short 5. All right. So I bet you it's going to stop at the. This is like the Russell Tar program. I forget what it's called, where you have to you know, use your foresight to guess what color it's going to, what picture is going to appear. I'm going to say yellow. Ah, red. All right, so my intuition is off. All right, so that's one way to do it, right? Make sure there's no metal underneath it like that was there. The other way is that you can use the switch, right, and just tilt it. And it should, right, see, activate that way, like a little, so I'm going to say green. Oh, it looks like the Russell Tar. There was an app made by Russell Tar. I don't know if anybody follows him. He's a popular scientist. But I believe, let me see if I can find the application. I know I have it on my phone because, oh, ESP Trainer. So it's similar to the ESP Trainer. So I'm going to say yellow. Nope. And then what it does is it creates, whoops, I took a screenshot. Nope. That's weird that there's no sound. Oh, the ringer's off. There we go. See? I got it correct, except that's too loud. I'm going to say blue. See? Except it's really loud. I'm going to say yellow. Ooh, pretty good. I'm going to say green. Nope. I'm going to say red. Nope, it was yellow. Blue. Pretty cool. And then you just keep guessing. So this works similar to the Russell Tar's ESP Trainer. I'll leave a link to this in the description. But this one's fun because it runs on batteries, and you know, it's more engaging. You can play with friends, or you can play alone. You can make a little case for it if you want. I'm going to say it's going to end on blue. Nope, it was yellow. And then, you know, you can press the button too if you just lay it there. Green. Well, it was white. Anyway, so, you know, you get the idea. It's like a little, you know, ESP Trainer, more like a digital version, like a binary version, if that makes any sense. But I hope this helped you out with your soldering skills, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Green? Ha ha! Stop that. Yellow. Anyway, kind of neat, huh? A little fun little game before we level up onto the clock and then perhaps the transistor radio. Hope you enjoyed this project. Remember, make sure you have your batteries charged. Make sure the chips are put in the right place. As you see, you only get one take unless you have a spare one laying around for spare parts. But it's kind of neat. I kind of like this game. I'm going to choose red. Oops. It's just shutting off. I guess it's that time. Anyway, I hope this video helped you in leveling up with your soldering skills and building with these how-to tutorials. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them down below, or ideas for other videos. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.